never fry your eggs the same way again. Today I show you 3 ways to cook eggs. All 3 are easy. We start with the first one, and it begins in a bowl. Crack 2 eggs in. Add a small pinch of salt and some black pepper. Room temperature eggs beat up lighter than cold ones. Stay with me to the end because the third trick is the simplest one of all. Now beat the eggs with a fork. A whisk beats in too much air for this one. Do not stop early. This step matters more than you think. You want the yolks and the whites completely mixed with no thick strands left. When the eggs run off the fork in one smooth stream, they are ready. This is what gives you soft egg threads later instead of hard lumps. Take 3 tomatoes. No need to peel them. The skin softens in the water. Cut the stem out first, then cut each one in half. Ripe, soft tomatoes work best here because they break down fast in the water. If your tomatoes are firm, that is fine. They will just need a minute longer. Now cut them into small cubes. Keep the pieces about the same size so they cook evenly. Keep the juice and the seeds. They go in too. Small cubes also give the soup a better texture in the spoon. Take your time here. This is the only real knife work in the whole recipe. Everything after this is easy. Put 1 tablespoon of cornstarch into a small bowl. Pour in a 1/4 cup of cold water, that is 60 milliliters. The water has to be cold. Warm water turns the starch into lumps straight away. Stir until the liquid is smooth and milky white. This little bowl is what makes the soup silky instead of watery. Keep it next to the stove. We need it near the end. Put a pot on the stove and pour in your water. Cold tap water is fine. Fill it about halfway and turn the heat up high. While the water heats up, wash a bunch of fresh dill. Shake the water off and chop it fine. Only the soft tops go in. Dill and eggs work together better than most people expect. And tell me something while you chop. Where are you watching from? Leave a comment. I read them all. When the water boils, slide the tomatoes in. Let them cook for 2 or 3 minutes. The tomatoes give the water color and a light sweet taste. That is your whole broth, and you did not need anything else. You need no stock cube and no oil at all. Now the trick I wanted to show you. Do not pour the eggs straight into the pot. Hold a fine sieve over the water and pour them through it. A finer sieve gives finer threads. The sieve breaks the egg into hundreds of thin threads. Move the sieve slowly in circles as you pour. Keep the water at a gentle boil, not a hard one. Big bubbles tear the threads apart and you get lumps again. This is how the soup gets those soft egg flowers you see in restaurants. Give it 1 slow stir and then leave it alone. The threads need a few seconds to set on their own. Stirring too much turns them back into scrambled egg. Now stir the starch water once more and pour it in. Keep stirring while you pour, or it will settle at the bottom. In about half a minute, the soup goes thicker and glossy. Potato starch works too. Throw the dill in at the very end. If you add herbs early, they lose all their smell in the heat. Fresh dill only. Dried dill turns to dust. Stir once, taste for salt, and turn the stove off. The soup is finished, and it came together in minutes. Look at the color on it. Pour it into a bowl while it is hot. You can see the egg hanging in soft ribbons through the broth. It is light and warm, and it still fills you up. This is the kind of soup you make on a cold evening without planning it. That is the first one done. The second one is the pretty one, and the third is the one you will actually use tomorrow morning. Take 3 eggs and 2 clean bowls. Separate them, yolks in one bowl and whites in the other. Cold eggs separate much easier than warm ones, so take them straight from the fridge. Do it 1 egg at a time, over an empty cup. The half shell is the easiest tool for catching a yolk. If 1 yolk breaks, you only lose that egg and not the whole batch. No yolk at all can get into the whites. Even a drop will stop them from setting properly later. And if you like recipes like this one, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me keep making them. Beat the whites with a fork until they turn light and foamy. You do not need a mixer. 30 seconds by hand is enough. Do not overbeat them. Then beat the yolks in the second bowl the same way. The yolks are thicker, so work them a little longer until the color goes even. Now measure a 1/4 cup of milk, that is 60 milliliters. Pour it into the yolks and mix it in well. Any milk works, and water works too. The milk does 2 things here. It makes the batter thin enough to spread across the pan, and it keeps the finished sheet soft instead of dry and brittle. Whisk until you see small bubbles on the surface. Take a few stalks of fresh green onion. Chop twice as much as you need. The rest goes on the third recipe. Cut the white ends off and chop the green parts small. A sharp knife matters more than you think with onion. A blunt one crushes the stalks and pushes the juice out, and then the pieces go limp on the plate. Some of it goes on top of these rolls in a minute. Heat a wide, flat pan on medium. A crepe pan is ideal. Brush it with olive oil and wipe most of it away. You want a thin film and nothing more. Too much oil and the egg sheet fries in patches instead of setting flat. Pour the whites in and tilt the pan straight away. Let them run out into one thin, round sheet. Keep the heat low here. The whites should set white and soft with no brown edges at all. Give it about a minute. There is no need to flip this one. The steam finishes the top for you. When the top is dry to the touch, slide it out onto a board. If the sheet tears when you lift it, your heat was too high. Now the yolk batter goes into the same pan. Tilt it again and spread it out just as thin. This one colors fast, so watch it closely. The milk makes it more fragile, so lift it slowly. As soon as the surface loses its shine, it is done. Lift the edge with a spatula and take it off the heat. You now have 2 sheets, one white and one yellow, and that is the whole idea. Lay the white sheet on a board and put the yellow one on top. Press them together lightly with your hand. They stick to each other on their own while they are still warm. Now cut the stack into strips about 2 fingers wide. A long knife cuts cleaner here. Cut through both layers at once. That is what gives you the 2 colors in every roll. Work while they are warm. Cold sheets crack when you roll them. Take one strip and roll it up from the end. Start from the straight edge, not the round one, or the roll comes out lopsided. Keep it loose, not tight, so the spiral stays open and you can see both colors. Set each roll on its end as you go. Some of the strips give you a big rose and the short ones give you small buds. Both look good on the plate. If a roll wants to open, pin it with a wooden stick. The stick holds 3 or 4 of them together and makes them easy to pick up. This is a starter that costs you 3 eggs and looks like restaurant work. Roll the white strips the same way and keep them separate. White next to yellow is what makes the plate look full. 2 skewers of each is usually enough for 2 people. Do not throw the trimmed edges away. They go straight into a salad. Now we plate it. A tomato cut into a rose, a few slices of cucumber, and a line of dark sauce. Stand the rolls up in a row and scatter the green onion over the top. Nobody at the table will guess this is only eggs. If this one impressed you, give the video a like. Here is the part I promised you. The third one is 3 eggs and a frying pan, and nothing else at all. Heat the pan and brush it with olive oil. Now fold a paper towel and wipe the oil back over the whole pan. This is the step most people skip. You want a film so thin you can barely see it. A greasy pan gives you a bubbled greasy edge on the white. A wiped pan gives you a clean, round one. Crack the eggs in one at a time. Crack them on a flat surface. Break them low over the pan so the yolks stay whole and round. Leave a little space between them. They will spread as they cook. Keep the heat low from the first second. High heat gives you brown, lacy edges and rubber underneath. Low heat gives you a soft white that holds together. Now comes the trick. Pour a splash of water into the pan, away from the yolks. Put the lid on. The steam cooks the top of the eggs, so you get a set white over a soft yolk and you never flip them. Give it about a minute under the lid. The white on top goes slightly cloudy, and that is what you want. Slide them onto a plate with tomato and cucumber on the side. Scatter the green onion you saved over the top and cut straight into it. The white is fully cooked and the yolk still runs. If this helped, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who cooks eggs every morning. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.